Hello everyone, it's Rick Murray
And Lisa Axios.
with the R&L Home team at eXp Realty. And today's video, we're going to talk about some things that the sellers should or maybe should not take with them when they're selling a home.
So some of the things, obviously, your personal belongings, meaning anything that is not attached by a nail or bolted down. Of course, your clothing, your furniture, but sometimes it gets a little, it gets down to the nitty gritty at the very end when it's time to move, right?
You know, the question the sellers should ask is, how do they want the buyers to feel when they're moving in? So what you disclose that you're removing or what you leave behind, it can really have an emotional effect on the buyer on move-in day. So like Lisa said, you obviously can take all of your personal belongings, but that includes some of the trash and debris, maybe a wood pile, some of the old paint cans. The thing to be really mindful of is if you plan on leaving something that you shouldn't or taking something that you shouldn't, it needs to be clearly specified in advance in writing. So what's another thing, Lisa?
Well, let's say a chandelier. Maybe you have a chandelier that's been in the family and you want to take it with you. You need to switch that out before you even put your house on the market, because otherwise it's like a takeaway when somebody comes through and sees this gorgeous chandelier and it doesn't come with the house.
Yeah, if they're told by us that, hey, this is a great dining room with this amazing chandelier, but it's not staying, it's now a takeaway. So we always advise our clients, take it away now before anyone sees it, and maybe replace it with something similar or maybe something middle of the road. But again, it's affixed to the property. So the general rule of thumb is if it is attached to the property with a nail or a bolt or a screw, it is considered to be part of the property. And everything else is usually considered to be personal property, right? What about the outside?
Well, the outside plantings, trees, things like that, you really can't go in and start digging up your garden and taking, I'm sure if it's producing fruit, take that fruit, but you can't be taking all the flowers out or bushes unless you do that ahead of time.
Yeah, and there are some people that have emotional attachments to a tree or a certain bush. Again, ahead of time, you want to switch it out or disclose up front. But again, now it's a takeaway, and you can just leave Mother Nature alone. Just the property is probably beautiful on the outside. Just that's one of the first impressions that the buyer had of your house. So why alter that impression? What about mirrors, hanging mirrors?
Well, I would say no. Those should be taken off unless they're kind of like a medicine cabinet mirror that is fixed to the wall. All mirrors should be removed.
Yeah, the mirrors that you can just lift off of a screw, that's your personal property. But if it's bolted in, it's part of the property. So again, that's the general rule of thumb. One situation we were involved in is a basketball net. It was cemented into the driveway, and the seller, he bought that for his son, and he was probably emotionally attached. He just ripped it out before the closing. And it did cause a problem at the closing. In fact, the closing was halted, and everybody had to come back the next day when they calmed down. And there was a monetary, consideration as a result of that. So again, a lot of communication has to happen up front, a lot of thought, and you have to document some items.
So I wanted to bring one up that I thought was quite funny, but
Yeah.
I understand. There was like a door jam where maybe they put the heights of the children and the dates up and down that door jam
Over the years.
and they were like, I need to take that. And I'm like, well, you need to remove that now.
They literally removed the molding and replaced it with a molding. So
Yeah.
Again, to avoid problems at the closing, to avoid any bad feelings, because there's a lot of emotions that can go with these decisions. To make a harmonious sale occur and have the buyer feel like they're getting what they paid for, 6 weeks earlier. Just be really upfront and understand your obligations as a seller, things that you can or should be taking, and maybe things that you should not be taking. So try to remove some of that emotion and just have a clear communication with your realtor up front. What about Window treatments, that is always a big one. You know, in the purchase and sale agreement, there's specific language that speaks directly to this. And it says that the window, the curtain rods and blinds, so if it's a shade or something, or if it's affixed to the property, that should stay. But a window
The curtains can be removed.
a drape,
It should be.
you can just remove them by taking them off the rod. So that's your personal property. But that is always a big one, the window treatments.
It is. And I would say you want to make sure that you are working with a realtor who walks around the house with you before you put the house on the property, home on the property.
And itemizes.
And itemize what is
everything.
staying, and actually, so you have an understanding. Sometimes you get to the end and you have something silly that causes, something silly that will just cause people to be upset, and then you can just avoid that with a lot of communication.
Yeah, so if you want more videos like this that's going to help you as you prepare to get your home listed and sold on the market, check out our videos on YouTube. You can click subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And don't forget that grateful is our mindset.
And passion is our fuel.
See you on the next video.
See you next time.